Now, see if, there we are. We're past the first stage, at least the microphone works. We've got, thank you very much, small victories. My name's Rowan Holzberger. I'm the federal member for Ford, which is the federal electorate covering this area. A lot of you I know are from Ford. I know there's a lot of people from outside Ford as well. So everybody, welcome today. I appreciate it very much for you all coming. Shireen's going to do a bit of, Shireen's in my office and is going to do just a little bit of housekeeping.
Hello everyone. Also I'd like to do acknowledgement of country to the traditional owners of the land of Yukonberg people, for which we meet and stand on today. So with just some general housekeeping, the toilets are situated to the right for the female and left for the male, and also there's a disability toilet to the left as well. If in case of emergency, everyone is to go straight out this door and meet at the front of the centre. And also in relation to clapping, just to be respectful of everybody in the audience, instead of clapping and applauding, I would like to do that if possible. Thank you. Also outside here we've got Neurodivergence has supplied a sensory area, so if you feel like it's a bit overwhelming, it's such a small space, it might be loud, please you're welcome to go out there or anywhere outside at all. And yeah, thank you so much for attending, and hopefully you'll enjoy what we're going to have today. And if you have anything that you feel concerned about or need assistance directly with today, just call out to one of our staff members. If our staff members can put their hands up, please. Yep, just let us know and we will be able to assist you. Otherwise, hopefully enjoy the forum. Thank you.
Thank you, Shireen. Now, where do we start? So we've got today some advocates and also some community members that have helped me organise today. So if they'd like to come up, now names, I'm awful at names, but Christine from Legal Aid Queensland, Ridney from Queensland Advocacy, Advocacy for Inclusion, and also now this is where it all falls apart. Sally is from Sufi, and we've got a couple of other maybe not coming up. We've got Adi and Rebecca and Nikki from ADA. Now we're getting chairs as we speak, I think.
Yeah.
Are you going to stand out? Okay, right. And Nadine and Jay come in. So we're going to go to about. We want to try and cut it off at 2 o'clock. Won't be a hard 2 o'clock, but 10 past 2 it will be a hard stop. We're also going to hang around for till about 3 o'clock anyway. So if you don't feel like you can sort of speak in front of the crowd, there'll be an opportunity to speak later. So I really want to try and tighten my remarks, and so maybe I'll rush to it. And if it's a bit rushed, again I'll be around later. But the one thing that I think I'm good at in my skill set is bringing people together. Quite often it's like when we get together, I'm not quite so sure what to do. But for a long time, I have seen that in our community, if you look at the numbers around the NDIS, when you sort of look at the numbers there, the NDIS in Ford has about 8,000 people on it. You compare that to other electorates that have somewhere as low as 3,500 people. So there's twice as many people in our area on the NDIS as in some other areas, and half of the people on the NDIS in our area are on that for autism, which has always made me think that if you've got about 4,000 people on the NDIS for autism, you've probably got another 4,000 people in the community who should be getting some supports and who aren't getting any. Most of you are here today because you would have seen my own personal story. Riley, my son, couldn't make it today, unfortunately. So I won't go through the ins and outs of that, but as a younger person, as he's 22 now, but as a 17-year-old, when we first found out that he had autism, which is when a doctor said, by the way, you know he's got autism. We were like, no, we didn't know, but now that you say that, it all makes sense. The older he gets, as his body falls apart, the more supports he needs. And so I always keep him in mind when I think about what the NDIS is there for, but more importantly, what supports in the community could also be there to support him. Ultimately, while I'm not 100% sure what I want today to be about, it's what I sort of hope we can avoid is turning it into talking about all the problems of the NDIS. People should feel as we go through that they speak freely, but today is not just about talking about how awful the NDIS is, because we know it is for a lot of people. And it is also not necessarily just talking about the legislation which is before the Parliament now and the reforms which are there, although people should feel free to talk about those things. But if I can get anything out of today, it is to connect you not only with the people here on the stage, but with each other. And I really want you to meet each other, because from the political point of view, and I don't mean party politics or policy or anything like that, but, well, the meaning of the word politics is actually Greek for people. And when you look at this cohort of neurodivergent people in our community, it could be as high as 1 in 5, certainly around that 1 in 10. There is probably not a single cohort in our community that is as big as that struggles, and I mean struggles, with the things that we all struggle with in this room. And it is not only one of the biggest communities that we have, it is also one of the most time-poor communities, as so many of us battle to work and to look after a family member with special needs. And that is what I want to get out of this, is to give this community a voice, because it has the potential to be the most powerful voice. So, on that, thank you. We're going to hear from the people on the stage, but importantly, want to hear from you today.
Hi, good afternoon everyone. My name is Christy Bloomfield. I'm a principal lawyer at Legal Aid Queensland. I just want to let you all know that we do have a team of lawyers that practice in the area of NDIS at Legal Aid. We offer an advice and representation service, so if you've received a decision from the NDIS that you're not happy with in terms of getting access to the scheme, or maybe with the level of funding that's been provided to you, you can appeal those decisions, and we're here to assist with advice or guidance with moving forward. Our service isn't limited to just advice. We do offer task assistance and representation should you receive a grant of legal aid for representation. So, for example, if there is a directions hearing coming up and you've got a matter before the tribunal, we can give you advice about how to prepare for that and what you should be asking for at those court appearances. And yes, as I said before, there is grants of aid available for representation. There is a process to apply for that, but should that be approved, we could represent you as your lawyer through the tribunal process should your matter progress to that stage. Thanks.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Ripley, and I work for the QAI's NDIS Appeals Advocacy Practice. So we provide advice for people who are going through an active appeal at the Administrative Review Tribunal. In addition to that, we also represent a small number of people at the tribunal by providing them ongoing representation, which includes doing all their submissions for them. The other area that we engage in is systems advocacy, which is providing submissions and systemic advocacy work to protect and advance the rights of people with disability. I will now introduce you to my colleague Louise, who will provide a brief outline of the other services at QAI. Thank you.
Thank you, Rudmi. Thank you for everybody who's organised today. So a little more information about QAI, Queensland Advocacy for Inclusion. As Rudmi said, we are able to provide free, independent and confidential advocacy services to any Queenslander with a disability. It doesn't necessarily need to be a diagnosed disability. We don't ask for any proof of that. Within QAI, we have a few different departments. Pathways Service is an information and referral line that you can call to find out some information relevant to your area in Queensland. We also have a human rights advocacy team and a mental health advocacy team, and they support people who may be on forensic orders or under mental health treatment plans. The systemic work that Rudmi mentioned, we are running a couple of campaigns at the moment. One of them is the Disability Royal Commission Still Counts campaign. So we're just launching that and doing some fundraising to have an online tracker of the recommendations from the DRC and how they are being progressed. The other campaign that we have is called the Right to Learn campaign, and that is supporting children with disabilities to stay in school. Also, QAI hosts what is called the QUIDAN network. That is a Queensland-wide network of us and other advocacy organisations, as represented here today. And we meet regularly to discuss the trends and what's happening out there in the community for our participants. In my role at QAI is the Indigenous Disability Advocate, so I can provide general disability advocacy to mob across Queensland. I can also provide cultural support for my colleagues when they're dealing with more legal matters. And we have a justice support program that helps people who have an intellectual impairment who are involved in the criminal system. So we're just getting that program back up and running. We also have our wonderful youth advocate team, and they focus on 0 to 18 years of age and can provide advocacy across quite a broad range of areas. But one of the biggest areas that we see is education and youth justice. So that could be getting the right reasonable adjustments put in school, and helping kids who are in the youth justice system to get disability recognised and the right supports for them. And finally, the last team is the team that Rudmi works in, the NDIS appeals team. Thank you.
Hello everybody, my name is Sally Pennell. I'm from Speaking Up For You, which is also part of the QUIDAN network, which is Queensland Advocacy Disability Independent Networks of Queensland. So we provide similar services to what Louise has explained to you. We work with individuals one-on-one. So it could be around your human rights, fundamental needs. Now when we talk about those kind of things, we're talking about people who don't have a place to live, that's a fundamental need, people who don't have any supports, people who are being exploited perhaps by services, people who can't access education, or people who are really not having their health needs met as well. So those kind of things. We work in the Brisbane, Moreton Bay and Redland area, but I come to you also as a resident in the Ford area. We also have at SUFI an NDIS appeals team, so they focus on those administrative review tribunal matters and do advice sessions as well.
Hi everyone, I'm Beck Wilson. So my colleague Nikki and I are both from Aged and Disability Advocacy Australia. So we do a lot of the same things except for the legal, NDIS legal ART support that QAI and Legal Aid do. Our area of advocacy support runs from the Gold Coast up to Beenleigh. So we are the advocates, the independent advocates for this area. We have federal government funding and Queensland government funding to provide individual advocacy support for people. Nikki and I both are also neurodivergent, so the matter at hand and the topic is very close to our hearts, and we understand the barriers that people are having in that NDIS space, and there's a lot of neurodivergent people in the area that also don't access NDIS as well. So there's a lot of gaps in support, especially for young people who are living with autism and other neurodivergent spectrum disorders. So we also, Nikki's going to speak a little bit about her Words to Action program as well, which is a program where we support and coach individuals to advocate for themselves. So yeah, look, I'm going to be around and Nikki's going to be around, so please come and have a chat to us as well, individually.
Thanks. So I'm Nikki. I'm the team leader for the Words to Action programme that's been running for about the last 18 months. It's for anybody that self-identifies as having a disability. You don't need a diagnosis and you don't need any NDIS funding. We do a range of information sessions about people's rights that are living with a disability. And then what we aim to do is coach people that want to build their own capacity and their skills with a self-identified issue. It can be anything, absolutely anything. Education, housing, just how to communicate with more confidence, get your, I suppose, your needs and wants known to your support staff, any kind of issues that you're looking at resolving. The coaching sessions generally are an hour long and you can have a maximum of 10. But hopefully we work with you on researching your issue, signposting how to get things done, how to communicate effectively, and at least try and get you set on the road to getting an outcome that you're looking for. Yeah, I have brought some information and flyers at the back of the room about the programme. There is a website as well for Words to Action, so you can sign up for that if you want to. But like Beck said, we are around the room if you want to come and have a chat about any of that. No age limits.
Unfortunately, we don't know how to turn the other mics on, so we're just sharing. My name's Nadine. I am from Neurobox, which is a startup not-for-profit. We haven't actually started up yet. We're in the process of it, but we are starting to do some little events within the community, especially here in Bethania, to start with, where we are going to be doing some sensory play days for adults and youth in separate sessions, and then a carers conversation space as well outside, where the carers can all meet each other and find people that are going through similar things to what they are, people that understand them, because we believe that a lot of the time people with neurodivergent children or families at home have a bit less of a village around them to support them through what they're going through, and we think that they'll be able to find their own village here if we build up a space for everyone. So we have our first one tomorrow. If anyone would like to come, you're welcome to come. We have an adult session from 12 till 2 and then a youth session from 3 till 5, so that it's a bit more supportive of children with schooling as well. We are actually starting our organisation to be able to support people with finding access and supports to services like these guys here. The amazing work that they do, as well as assessments through speeches, OTs, psychologists, anyone that we can have partner with us. We're really trying to do that, because finding the right services is the hardest part for most people. I am the mother of 3 neurodivergent daughters, and I have my neurodivergent nephew in my care now as well. He's 16 and he's just been diagnosed yesterday with ASD level 2, ADHD, trichotillomania, anxiety, socialised and generalised, and complex PTSD after only 6 months of residing with me, which is a big thing for him because he's lived his whole life not knowing why he's a bit different to everyone else, and now he has answers and he can start working towards finding the right supports that he needs as well. So if you want to know a bit more about what we do, we have a Facebook page, you can look us up, just Neurobox is all it is, you can find it, and then there's some flyers on the back table there. But yeah, I'd love to see everyone get involved with supporting their own families and finding their own little groups of people that can help them, and you can help your friends and family as well by giving them the details of our service too.
Hi, I'm Jay. I'm a neurodivergent parent of neurodivergent kids here locally, and I guess I wanted to just share what I've experienced over the last couple of years to bring another angle to the conversation, I guess. A couple of years ago, my son was kicked out of his early childhood care. They couldn't support his complex needs, and that had happened a couple times already, and that was really hard. Life felt like it was falling apart, more than neurodivergent parenting already does every day, in little ways. And we had a look at the Early Childhood Development Program, which is a Queensland education thing. It's really lovely. It's a year before kids start school where they have really specialist teachers, low ratios, they provide support in the home. But nowadays it's only funded for 1 day a week. That didn't help, right? And we went to the Child Development Service, which is in Queensland Health, and they can go through this really comprehensive assessment process, and it's really fantastic. And it has a 2-year wait list, which is not that helpful, right, for those 2 years. And then we went to the in-home care program, which is a federal program sort of for children with really complex needs who can't access mainstream care, or if the parents have fluctuating schedules and stuff. And even at the time that was really unaffordable and or really inaccessible, and that worked while it worked, and then it didn't work because of accessibility and all sorts of issues. And I guess that the thread was throughout all these years that there's been these services that are supposed to catch us, are supposed to hold us, are supposed to help us, that aren't really doing the job well and properly. And that's before we talk about the NDIS and the headache of the paperwork and finding therapists and screening them and getting to appointments and handling siblings during appointments and picking up the pieces of after dysregulating appointments. And so yeah, I guess that in my professional life I also work in the NDIS, and I know that what needs to kind of be fixed, or how reform can be done in a way, in the right way, is such an important conversation, and it should be had today. And it's life and death for some people, for a lot of the people I work with. So I'm not trying to minimise that at all, but I wanted to submit the question as well of what does this support structure in a community look like, where for some of us in the room, maybe we don't need the NDIS. We can break up with them before they break up with us. And for the people who do need the NDIS, it still helps to have those support structures in place. So yeah, I don't know, that was my background. Also, with your permission, I'm also have been planning a bit of like a research project specific to the ICANN and experiences of accuracy and fairness and justice and things like that, because no research has been done in that area yet, which is kind of worrying. So if anyone has gone through that new assessment process or was approached to do it and said no, please come and find me later, because I really want to hear from you as well. So yeah, that's me.
James. Thank you. So yeah, thank you everybody for that. So just to get a bit of an idea of who wants to make a contribution in the public space, could you put your hands up if you don't have to say it now or never. You can decide during it, but if we can get a bit of an idea. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Somebody's scratching there. 4 there. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. How's the fairest way to do that? Ali, have you got the microphone? Nick, you got the microphone? Probably. Okay, well, there we go. You've got it.
My name's Sean Bickley. I'm autistic and I'm president of a disabled people's organization as well. So my concern is that the death rate for people in the NDIS has increased from 1,800 a year to 6,000 a year, higher than it was under COVID lockdowns, according to actuarial data from the NDIS, and it's projected to double with the passage of the bill. The government has acknowledged that 347,000 people will be removed over the next 5 years or lose access for the next 5 years. And none of this is being addressed. The bill has not passed yet. There's still time for us to call our senators, because the alternative is that 347,000 of us will lose access. Tens of thousands of us will die over the next 5 years. That's at least 315 in Ford. And this is based on the government's figures. That might be a lower estimate. And it's not addressing the fact that every single one of us will lose 50% of community access, so we'll be more isolated. Those of us who remain on the NDIS will almost certainly be expected to be in institutional settings. I've been in 4 ILOs. It's not great. And you can't live with your family, you can't live with people that you choose, you can't make a family, and you get really abusive kind of quality of care, some of which you know about. And we lose the right to appeal to the ART, and they get the right to do warrantless search and seizure with criminal penalties up to 2 years in prison. So there's a lot happening in this bill. There were over 4,500 submissions against the bill. There were Senate hearings from disabled people that were all overwhelmingly against the bill. And I haven't heard, it's great that there's community resources, which are very overextended and very difficult. There's waiting periods, it's very difficult. They're going to be much, much more overextended if 347,000 of us lose our services.
Thanks, Sean. So if perhaps I could address that one, because that is a significant issue on a lot of people's minds here today. Jay, you sort of very much helped me during the preparation of this. My job is not to persuade today, and in fact my job, if anything, is to listen and take it back to Canberra, where we go back next week. The legislation's still in the Senate, and so it's still got to go through a process. So, there are no bad ideas here. What I would say is that we all know it does need to be fixed. From a political point of view, and by political I mean the support in the community for the NDIS has crumbled, and it is on the verge of collapse. And unless it maintains that social license, for want of a better word, then the support for the NDIS as a concept will go. And so there do need to be changes. There are some things that I would encourage people to hang on to, which is that the government has said that nobody will be thrown off the NDIS onto nothing. And so I suppose there are some. It's not, I can't, as I say, I'm not about persuading anybody here today as to the rights or wrongs of it, but I would say that in many ways, I think the work that I've been doing over the last years with the neurodivergent community, it's almost like it's happened for a reason. And part of this today is to get together to make sure that whatever decision happens, which is in some ways out of our control necessarily what the outcome is. In some ways out of our control. Doesn't mean that we can't have an input as it progresses to make sure that we avoid the things that you're talking about, Charlotte. That's my fundamental point is that there is a lot of work to do. I suppose I just finish up. I'll just finish up on that by saying that even though, yes, the legislation is coming through quickly, the actual changes themselves will be actually a long time before they kick in. For instance, eligibility rules at this stage won't take impact until 2028. And even then, it will roll over 3 years. So there are years to get this right. There are weeks to get the legislation right, but years to get the implementation of it right. And I think there's one thing can hold this government to, which is the philosophy that nobody's left behind. And I can see, and I'm sorry, I'll leave it at that. That's the thing that I want to say most of all to you as well, is that this is not just the final thing. There is a lot of work, and that's what today is about, is beginning that work. I genuinely want you to believe that, because there is a lot of work, and we've all got a lot of stake in it, making it work. Okay. Just behind you.
Hi, my name is Aurelia Williams. I'm from Tech Tower NDIS Alliance. I guess I want to come off the back of what you've just said. I was at the Senate hearings. I presented evidence to the Senate committee myself on behalf of Protect Our NDIS Alliance. My question really is in the fact of, if this bill does go through in its full and entirety, and Mark Butler is disconnected with the community in the way that this bill is actually going to tangibly impact us, and we have seen Mark Butler, the NDIS minister, say that no, there will be no deaths, which quite frankly is incorrect, factually incorrect. All the evidence that was presented at the Senate hearings essentially said that, like, every disability advocate, every disabled person, every lived experience perspective was of the perspective that yes, there will be deaths, and this is the reason why. And then the NDIS minister, post that, has come back and said no. My concerns are, if there is such a disconnect with the NDIS minister, and then we have all of these neurodivergent people and families in this room, how is Canberra going to understand that? How is the actual Labor Party that is so strongly on the aspect of we built the scheme, and the disabled perspectives and voices that put so much hard work to make that scheme possible in the first place, not being recognised? And my concern is with the fact of, like, there are so many families that are already being removed from the scheme in the bill, like without the bill even being in place. What's going to happen? Because there are no foundational supports. There's also, in the advocacy work that I do, there is such a disconnect from the state government to the federal government. There is such a disconnect from the LNP government not cooperating or not implementing changes. Again, what's happening with Thriving Kids, really on a state-based level, because there are no foundational supports for us to really go back onto at the end of the day. And what's going to happen to the demographic of disabled people, but more so neurodivergent people, that is a significant risk of being removed from the scheme in the first place. I don't want to hammer on about the bill, but it is a big concern of mine, because what seems to be the case is the demographic of people that's being targeted and that is at high risk is autistic people, is neurodivergent people, and that is at most high risk of being removed from the scheme. I'm someone who is high support needs and is already facing cuts and issues, so would love to hear your input on that.
So I think the underlying point that I want to make today is that we planned this forum in January when we came back and we had a planning session. We didn't know that the legislation would be introduced now that this forum would be happening in the context of the legislation. So that's the thing that I want to underline most. This is that, you know, this is, I see this very much as, I wouldn't say the beginning, because it's been something that many of us have been working to for, well, I mean, in disparate parts for years. Some people in this room have been working with this with me for years as well. But this is the first time this group has got together. I think this is the first time that the neurodivergent community in Ford has come together in numbers like this, and not just in the room, but online, and people that have contacted me by email as well. So the thing that I just want to underline the most is that is to have the voice in what is coming, no matter the bits that we can't control, the bits that we can control. I mean, I still haven't worked out the difference between those two, but is to make sure that whatever happens, that we've connected and that we've got an input.
Hi Ron, thank you for hosting this. My experience around this sector isn't long-standing. I'm a behaviour practitioner. I've been working in that role for around 12 months or so. I work with families. Most of my clients involve autism at some level, combined with many other disabilities. And what I see is people struggling. And, you know, there's only so much out there that we can do. As a practitioner, I design plans. I support their implementation through an hour a week or an hour a fortnight, if you're lucky. Who's doing the rest of it? Same with the OTs and the speech therapists. Parents are committed to taking their kids to these therapies, to these appointments. They do not have the time or the expertise or the capacity for many, many reasons to actually implement what the kids are learning, what they're being, those skills that they're trying to develop. There is a massive gap, and it's an everyday gap. Parents fight to get support workers. I've got families with 3 kids with disabilities, can't get a support worker to help out. It's on the family. And when I hear the government saying, we're pushing this back onto the families, we're pushing this back onto the families, I see families falling over the edge. It's going to happen. You know, there's going to be kids in care, there's going to be people giving up their families one way or another, and it is highly concerning. I do want to say though, as well, the concept of the NDIS is sound. I think us bagging it and saying, you know, talking about the problems of it is a big part of the problem. I think we need to use our voice to actually be positive about it. I acknowledge the limitations, I acknowledge the problems with it. I know it's not great. A lot of those things are not to do with the people who are on the NDIS, it's not to do with the people even working to provide the supports to those people, it's to do with the legislation, it's to do with the government, it's to do with how it's actually implemented. It's to do with the fact that it's almost hands-off. The government's outsourcing decisions to third parties like Serco to make planning decisions about people when they have no qualifications, no understanding of the reports that they're reading. You know, how can these people make decisions about other people's lives when they do not have the qualifications, they do not have the accountability to actually do that? So, you know, there's a lot that does need to be fixed, but I think the NDIS is a great thing. I think it can be an amazing thing. I am happy to pay for it. And I think we should all be. We all pay car insurance, we all pay house insurance.
I won't necessarily comment on every contribution, but I did just you know, from a personal point of view, you know, like I'm standing up here as the Federal Member of Parliament today. In 20 years, I'm not going to be a Federal Member of Parliament, that's for sure. I mean, in an ultra-marginal seat like mine, like Ford, I may well not be a Member of Parliament in 20 months. But something that you said to me yesterday just absolutely was probably one of the most beautiful things. When you said, talking about my son, and I won't get your tone right, but you said, your son is one of us. And that actually made me realise, hang on, no, I'm not a member of Parliament, I'm a dad. And so, you know, we all want to make this work. And you're right, like that, and that is the point. Like this is, we've got to protect this, and that's where, you know, I know that's where we come from as a government. I know that as a Labor government that made it too. Like we want to make this work. So yeah. Sorry, no, you go, please.
Hi, I'm sorry I'm a little bit nervous. I've never done this, but my name's Ronnie.
Is it working?
Just press the button underneath.
Press the button underneath.
Hello? Okay. Sorry, I'm a little bit nervous. My name's Ronnie, and I'm a client of, I met with Rowan yesterday, but I don't know towards if anyone else has heard of WILD. WILD is a services that helps people with intellectual disabilities and other disabilities through all different places of who've experienced all sorts of different crime. And WILD is the only service I know that deals with people with disabilities. Bella and I are a part of an advocate group called The Experts that's been funded by the Brisbane South PHN, that we have been advocating for different things to do with disability rights, preventing violence. And my thing is with talking about the cuts to NDIS is how does other services look like outside of the NDIS, especially towards with WILD being one of the only ones that I know. And especially there's nothing outside of WILD that I have heard of.
And they're currently at risk of...
And we're currently at risk of losing our funding. Yeah, we've lost our the project that's been funded. We're losing our funding and we're losing the workers because the funding is very limited. And it makes it hard for us, for that we've fought so hard, especially with some of the other people into our group have just gotten onto the NDIS as well. But WILD is a fantastic service that has helped us a lot. But with losing our worker, it means towards reduced groups that WILD does, especially with advocation.
Thank you, Ryan.
Hello. This is really passionate for me. I'm actually coming from a whole different aspect from everything that's here. So I'm actually a mum and a carer, and I've adopted and had 3 children that I cared for to adulthood. And in those years, up to the time they were 22, they were with me. And since then, they've transitioned to supported accommodation and so on. And the twins are 28 and the other daughter's 22. I'm very passionate about what's going on at the moment. I've put myself out there. I'm actually an author. I've written books. And in the process, I've worked with Centrelink and the department, and I've cared for 26 emergency children. So I have all the skills. And what I see and what I know, I keep putting my hand up and no one's listening. And I want to be an advocate. I am an advocate for children, but I want to be an advocate. So I'm putting myself out there because what I've seen in the services, I've had to keep fighting for these children, not just them, other children. I've sat with the NDIS books and cultivated for the carers independent living so that they would have a better quality of life, and then it would fall down because the carers didn't want to do the work. There are so many gaps. One of the children in my care, who was in my care the whole time, is now on $1.1 million, and he doesn't need to. So I've had to bring another organisation in to say, this is ridiculous. You're actually claiming illegally. And this is the 3rd time this has happened. Now, if I'm not the advocate that's talking about it, who is? So I'm really upset. So one of the books I put together through all the work that I did prior to the NDIS, prior to understanding about all the different types of disabilities, and every child that docs gave me had a disability, had to have surgery, hair lip, cleft palates, all that. So I understand all the different types. Jeremy has Jacobson syndrome, there's Down syndrome, you know, it doesn't really matter. I'm there to help because I'm able to join the dots. I've done the hard yard. I've seen it. If we can open up some of these doorways and help. So I want to be able to go out into the carers and explain to them how important it is that they look after these people. What are they looking at? What are they seeing? And how can they do this better? Because it's not. And I've seen it. They walk in, they have the best intention, but they don't meet those goals. And the person falls down and they get paid, but the person doesn't reap the reward. Just a final. There was a young woman. I'll give you an image. There was a young woman. She was down at the shop. She was in her 30s. You could tell she had a disability, holding a rag doll. Now, I had been an artist for 10 years, painting dolls and giving them to people in nursing homes, special needs, wherever needs be. And I went to the carer and I said, listen, bring her to me because she needs to finish her cycle of life. She needs to nurture. She might not have children, but she needs to finish that cycle. So I gave her one of the babies, I gave her a pram, and now she's getting on with herself and she's feeling a lot more less frustrated. There are so many ways that we can make a difference. It's people like myself that's done the hard yard, that's been there selflessly, that puts their hand up and says, look, let me help. Because every child is suffering now, and they are suffering. I have a daughter that's in education, who's a principal of the early years, and she reports back to me, Mama, she says it's awful. The children that are being now placed into schools with disabilities without support, and it's falling down without all the structures. It's like Maslow's law. If you don't have the fundamentals of the basics, how do you get to the next level? So I'm putting my hand up. I'm really passionate and I'm not going to stop. Because every child deserves the space to be able to communicate, feel valid and feel heard.
Hello, my name is Hilary Vine. It's very difficult for me to be here today because I'm one of those participants who doesn't have what they call informal support. So, friends and family, none. I'm 41 and the only person who stopped me being homeless was our wonderful MP, Rowan, who actually called me on a Sunday afternoon to make sure that I would get through that crisis and that I knew I had support out there and that we'd make it. I'd had the what is it called, the housing, the NDIS, the report had been done by the specialist OT and black hole by the NDIS several years earlier. I've never had a plan meeting. I didn't know what that was until recently. I struggled to get any funding from them. I'm lucky that I've been diagnosed with Huntington's disease. So anybody out there who has HD or has found out they've got HD, there's actually a new thing coming in where you will have a dedicated delegate who will stay with you for the full term of your time on the NDIS, and you can get consistent results. Several years ago there was something that happened with the NDIS and they cut my funding to the emergency rollover amount. This is my third plan with that amount of funding. I, like many other neurodivergent people, I'm autistic, but I'm not high functioning. I'm a level 2. I have anxiety disorder, agoraphobia, PTSD. I have physical disabilities. Because autism isn't just a psychosocial disability. There is a very real physical component to autism that just seems to have been ignored completely. Oh, we don't fund that because it's not a physical disability. But now it's not a psychosocial disability either. What do you do when they're telling you it's not psychosocial, it's not physical? What is it? What on earth do we have then that makes life so different? And don't get me wrong, if somebody offered me a magic pill that said I didn't have to be autistic anymore, I would be like, get it away from me, please. Because I love who I am. I find joy in my life every day. Every day. But I went on NDIS originally, beginning of 2022, and they ground me down to the point where I attempted suicide twice last year. And that is something I have never in my life considered. Even as it was happening, I didn't understand why I was doing this. I couldn't. They broke me. I am so grateful to people like yourself, Ron, who care. Even if it's slow in taking, like actually implementing things, you care. You make sure that we know that you care. And not on a general basis. You care individually about every single person in your constituency. And we feel that. And that's why you have so many ND people here who have comorbidities, like all of us do. Oh, ADHD, forget that one, which always makes me laugh. And who can't navigate a system where they say, oh, we're making it participant-centred, but I've never been contacted for a plan meeting. I've never been involved in decision-making. I have had funding, half of my funding stripped away because they said I didn't have enough evidence for a disability that was listed on my plan, but that was something that was a change of circumstance. It had never been funded, ever, and that was the reason. I am so scared for companies like my support service provider next to me. The new name is Pinnacle Social Work and Support Work. I know it's a bit of a mouthful, but they are literally the gold star standard in the industry. I have had every type of support organisation, and I swear to you, there is no one I would go with. I don't care who you presented me with. They have kept me sane, breathing, fed, clothed, bathed, because my plan doesn't allow for things like having a meal every day, or being able to shower every day. I can't. I know I'm not the only person in this situation. And there are families through this early intervention pathway changes that just cut everything away from these families. There are zero community supports available. There's nothing there. I understand in essence, we forget. We think they tell us so much. The NDIS is your friend. We are there to support you. We're your partners. We're there to help you. But at the end of the day, we have to remember it is a government-funded insurance agency. Think about that. Now, a lot of people don't know this. They give us the list of disabilities. What people don't realise is that there's also a list of criteria of eligibility to be met. Now, if you don't find your particular disability on that approved list, look further. Because if you meet those access criteria, you are deserving and legally allowed funding for it. Don't believe the lies. Thank you so much for everything you're doing for us. And thank you for the people, like the delegates in the NDIS and the LACs and the advocates who do all of this hard work to make sure that we actually do have the chance to speak. Thank you. I'm so sorry. Thank you.
Could we just have a bit of a show of hands again, just to see how we're going with questions? So, Bella.
I'm intellectually impaired and I have bipolar. I'm raising my absolutely fabulous peers, you see. Anyway, his name's Hayden. He did want to be here, he's in uni. He came to me when he was 2 days old. I had trouble with child safety because one, I'm intellectually impaired. Two, they believed that I was going to be a predator like other pedophiles in my past. I met someone that helped me for a few weeks before I went to court, helped me to speak properly and answer questions. This lady was a nurse and didn't like what was happening to me. I won custody of a silver boy. Hayden's transgender. His family disowned him years and years ago now. I didn't give a shit. Well, he only needs me. So, Hayden was born with a condition called EDS, Alexander syndrome. The condition sucks.
That I bought myself. Like this book, I bought myself.
Hayden has developed, when you get this life sentence, as you get older, it gives you more symptoms like POTS, so you can't regulate his body temperature, which is an expense that NDIS will not cover because we had trouble getting him on NDIS.
You need to put it up.
Sorry. Should be used to this. I do a lot of forums, is it? A lot of panels. Yeah, and advocating on different things before. I advocate. I don't know how the hell I advocate, but anyway, I speak up for Hayden and other LGBTQ members because we're all people. But with Hayden, so him being trans, they class that as a disability when it's not. I think it's stupid, but anyway. But with this NDS, he also has an eating disorder. Now, that is crap because you take him to the hospital because he's not eating, he's losing weight. They stuck him in a psych unit at the Children's Hospital. I stole him out of there. It was really good. I had a mate pack his bags, put them down to the car. He went down for an orange juice. The orange juice was in the back of my mate's car, and we drove home, and I went on a cruise with him. And they rang us up. I thought you were bringing him back. No, mate. So we're out of Australia. Anything to figure into this. I don't like anybody trying to take my property. It's mine. And he's got empathy. But his eating disorder, he's allergic to food. Do you know what I'm talking about? Ecoseculitis. I can't say the word properly, but it's ecoseculitis. It's food gets stuck in your throat.
Dysphagia.
Well, some should know. Anyway, so we've got that. You're supposed to have orthopedic these shoe things. Indios won't cover that either. I'm on a pension. I paid for it. Then you get these. You speak to NDIS, and because your plan's nearly up, and one minute they're telling you that they want to do it in person, and so we say, good, we go in there, and they say, oh no, we'll roll the plan over, and you don't get a say in what's going on with the new, his new proper diagnosis or anything. So I believe that we need more advocates for people like us in the hospital system, not just the Indigenous liaison officers, because we get them, but they're not fully trained. Oh, hi. Oi. Yeah, they're not fully trained for people with intellectual impairment and stuff. Like, sorry about rambling on, but that's when people get sick of listening to me, when I try to explain what's going on in the hospitals, like with the doctors that don't want to know me. I know what I'm talking about, and I just think that we deserve somebody to help us get our voices out there. Yeah.
Thanks, Don. Again, so show of hands, we've really got, because I know some people have got to pick up kids. If I hate to sort of try and rush the contributions, but if people keep it to one or 2 minutes, and five more contributions. So, okay, you're the one looking at me the most.
You mean the angry one? Hi, my name's Tammy. I have 3 boys that are all on the spectrum, but mainly one in particular is a level 2. He has EDS, he has complex PTSD trauma, and the list goes on. What you're looking at right now is how the system has failed. You're looking at, I don't even know where my son is right now. I actually had to do the hardest thing in my life and put a behavioural DVO on my 29-year-old to get the hospital system to take him and try and assess him, because he also dissociates. It got that bad that we've fought with, we're going to be doing probably a 3rd change of circumstances with the NDIS. The first one, we're trying to get robust housing because his behaviours were getting too aggressive for me. They rejected it. They said we didn't have enough evidence. We didn't have the money in the budget at that time to get a behavioural therapist or overnights for incident reports. So they did another budget for him, gave us a behavioural therapist, which we did. We got the overnights, and that is still not enough. They got rejected again, so it's gone to a complex team now. This is how long I've been pushing to get them to realise that there are people out there suffering, including myself and my son. So now they want my son to go into the community to see if he will survive I have had to step back and let my support coordinator and my social recovery coach fight with the hospital system. They released him into a level 3 house. My son was looking forward to it after he got released from hospital. The room, if you want to call it that, the mattress in itself, I have evidence of all that, is bloodstained and soiled, and there's mould all over the room and all over the window. It was not even fit for humans, never mind a rat. So they put him in, eventually put him into a clean room, and I got accused of harassing the staff, and I've only made like 3 phone calls during that time because I would ring my son's phone. He's not picking up, so I know he dissociates and wanders off. I did make them aware of that. They accused me of harassing their staff because I asked, is my son there? So on Monday, I get a text message stating that my son's been taken to hospital because he's lying on the road screaming at the top of his voice because he's dissociated. And now, the hospital he was not at Logan, he ended up at RBH. He had a support worker, they took him home, and then he was dissociated and he disappeared. Because my son has behavioural problems, he put a hole in the wall. So I have just been notified today that they're taking my son back to the hospital, and the level 3 support place don't want him back. So where is he going to go? And the amount of stress I do have respect for NDIS. They do some things right, but they are failing so badly. I have high stress, and I do have a life-threatening condition. So, what am I supposed to do? I've been doing everything they ask. So after this experiment that they want my son to go through, to see if he will survive in the community, in a level 3 house, and we've been pushing for robust because of his behaviours and his autism, his PTSD, conflict, everything. And now, I have no idea where my son is. As far as I know, they're taking him to the hospital and no one's got back to me on that.
Excuse me. I totally can understand that. Do you know what service your son needs? Is there a service?
He needs robust housing. That's what we've been pushing for.
So could you explain to me what that is?
It is robust housing. It's a house that's designed if someone who has behavioural problems, like punching walls and doors, they're not going to cause damage. Like my house, I've been there for 7 years, and with my son's behaviour, and it's escalating, he's put a hole in the wall, so it become quite handyman, and holes in the door. I've even fixed those up. That's what robust housing is. It is a 24 supported living, day and night, active night, to make sure that he is safe, and he is teaching him how to take care of himself, because at the moment he can't. He dissociated when he was in my care, and I can't run after him. He's quick. He disappeared. He went.
Is your son diagnosed with schizophrenia?
According to Logan Hospital, which they don't even know what the.
Well, there may be wrong diagnosis. It may be wrong. My son is 49 years old. We're dealing with that.
Just nobody online can hear you. Do you mind?
We're dealing with that for many
Here,
years.
just 1 second. I think she hears the girl. Oh, okay. Just 1 second, Eric. There was. Yeah.
Hi, my name
Push the button.
My name's Annette. I've got 3 neurodivergent children. We're still in the process of getting some formal diagnosis done. My oldest is here today. We've had school reviews over the last few days. About 2 years ago, her NDIS plan got completely cut because she was on early intervention. They gave me 3 weeks to submit evidence to continue her plan moving across from early intervention to NDIS, which I found since that process really, I was self-managed at the time, really frustrating because my son was undiagnosed at the time. I was getting phone calls from school and kindy due to both of their behaviours and their escalation of safety towards other children, staff members and themselves. School holidays hit, I completely forgot to submit the evidence that was requested. It took 4 months after submitting the evidence for NDIS to come back and reinstate her funding. Since then, her funding's been reinstated. We've recently gone for a change of circumstances through a review. I got a phone call a week or 2 ago. The lady on the phone turned around to me and said that I'm not eligible for transport assistance. Currently, I have no car. I've got 3 neurodivergent children on buses where there have been significant incidences where my son, who has started prep this year, got suspended within 5 weeks of starting school. He is on 1-hour sessions at school due to his high level of needs. He's not eligible for special school. We have applied twice, been rejected twice. So we had to change our bus route to school, not only for my child's safety, but for other passenger safety and the driver's safety. I leave him with a friend of an afternoon to pick up my daughter from school because him being on the school bus is too much of a risk, and the other bus station is too much of a risk where there's been serious incidents with other school children and police have been called to, I haven't been present, this is what I'm hearing in the community. So to take my 3 neurodivergent children to that alternative bus stop of an afternoon is a serious high risk. When my son, he is a runner, he will run in front of buses, cars, you name it, he will run off. My daughter here, when she is in a lovely mood, she will refuse to follow me. She will refuse to move from a spot. So that puts me, as a single parent with 3 neurodivergent children, at a high risk of something seriously happening to my children in a busy environment where anyone could be present. The lady on the phone who did the review said that basically transport to and from school and public places becomes a parental responsibility. Yes, I get that it is my responsibility, but when my only means to and from school is either walking 20 minutes, where my 2 girls struggle, but my boy can walk 10 kilometres a day, or getting a bus, which then, depending on what time we leave, we either end up late and my son misses 15, 20 minutes of his schooling and he's only there for an hour. The other issue was my daughter here was on reduced hours as well, so I was literally doing 3 pickups throughout the day. It was either I walk home, I wait an hour for the bus, get off the bus, walk across the road to get the next bus in to pick my daughter up. And NDIS is saying to me that they're not going to support transport for me to get my children to and from school and assist them in their everyday things. That was kind of disappointing. The other comment she made was to buy noise cancelling headphones, which we already had, we've had them for years, and she's to wear them. I found that really upsetting because my daughter has when she has her sensory sensitivities, she hates noise, but then she hates anything being placed on her head at the same time. So how do I combat that? And I feel that the person on the phone just wasn't really understanding of the complex issues that come with some of these neurodivergent children. To her, yes, it might be as easy as placing noise cancelling earmuffs on someone's head. But when you don't want anything placed, you don't even want your hair touched, let alone having something on your ears, like that's not going to work in my opinion. And she was just really dismissive to everything that was requested in the change of circumstances in the review, that her funding has actually been cut. She turned around and stated she's only allowed speech therapy and OT once a month, behavioural therapist, and I think there's some funding in there for daily living expenses. And that is it. We also did a change of circumstances for my son, however they've kept his funding at the level it is for the time being. If I use all that funding by September, I then can submit another review for them to overlook his plan. The other issues I've had because of my kids' needs is finding therapists who want to work with them due to their escalating behaviours. Not a lot of therapists want to work with aggressive kids. Not a lot of therapists want to work with kids who, I guess, don't follow a set routine. And that's been my struggle as a parent in finding the support that my kids need. And someone who wants to work with them at their level. Like my daughter's 9, but I don't believe she's functioning as a 9-year-old. I believe she's functioning as a 4 or 5-year-old. Like even today I've had to walk around lots, I've had a lot to do, I haven't got half of what I needed to get done today. Because she's tired, she's walking slow, she's exhausted. I'm not pushing her to go to school for the rest of the term. It's day by day. If she wants to get up and go, then we go. If not, so be it. It's not the be-all, end-all. But I'm not forcing her to do anything that she doesn't want to do. I make compromises with her sometimes. If I really need something done, but I don't need children with me, I say to her, can you go to school for this long? And she's happy to go for an hour or two. Some days it doesn't work like that. We actually got escorted out of Centrelink today due to my son's escalating behaviours. And the reason why I was in there was to get some tax stuff like finalised before the end of tax year, because I've got one from a couple of years ago and today. I've got no one to come with me. I'm a single parent. Finding those supports, because I believe my son's entitled to a support worker, but finding someone who's willing to work with my kids and their high needs is really frustrating. I had one support worker who did one shift and never came back. I was told by my 2 girls at the time that she had laid hands on my daughter's throat. And since then, I have not had a support worker because I have not been able to find one to deal with my children's high behavioural needs.
Thank you. And it's 20 past. I probably really just can take one more. Did you have a Jasper in the
testing? Hi.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, go on.
Thank you everyone who organised this. I'm happy to help wrap it up on a positive note. It's really great to see members of the autistic community out and about contributing to this. I'm Absentia Nova. I'm the founder of a brand new charity building Australia's first foundational homes for autistic people. So, that is to say, I noticed 2.5 years ago when I founded my charity where the NDIS was going, and I realised that we're going to have to do it ourselves. So that's what I'm doing. And I'm not going to be the only one who's building the foundational supports that we actually need. And that's just to introduce, we're here, it's going to happen, we'll get it done. We wish the NDIS had given us a little bit more time. That's all.
Thank you. So I think I know there's a lot of people that want to have a contribution, but I think we should wrap up the meeting because I know people have to go, and there is nothing more depressing than when people get up and go halfway through your contribution. So today if we can finish it here for the public meeting, we're going to all be hanging around till at least 3 o'clock. I'll be here a bit later, but this is really the beginning, and I hope very much that we've got everybody's contact details. Goodness knows what it looks like, except that there is a job to do, and we can only do it together. So everybody, thank you for coming today. Thank you for people who've organised today, and see you around here. I'll be here for a bit.